everybody for joining this webinar. Quinton will be doing most of the presentation here, and I'll introduce him here in a second. But I'm Mark Phillips. I'm with SFC Energy. If you're not familiar with SFC Energy, we are the Schneider Electric rep in Western Canada as well as Ontario. We represent the remote operations product lines as well as the measurement and instrumentation product lines. Our big product's obviously the EFOY fuel cell, because we are owned by SFC Energy. We are the North American distributor of the EFOY fuel cell. But that's not why you guys are here today. So we will get into the Ian product line, and I'll let Quinton do a quick introduction of himself, and he'll get started.
Next slide, please.
There we go.
Next. My name is Quinton Williams. I'm the sales enablement for our wireless solutions offering at Schneider. I've worked around Schneider, Foxborough, was in Vinces for 21 years. Actually, it turned 22 years this year, so that's I guess I lied a little bit about that, but I've been here 22 years and in many different roles, from North American Director of Sales to global strategic marketing and business development. So many different roles. I have earned my MBA from the University of Southern California. It's a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. So you probably ask for yourself, why am I doing electronic equipment? That's a good question. But we all morph ourselves into different roles. So that's who I am. I'd love to meet you when we get opportunity. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to me. Next slide, please. So I want to talk to you a little bit about wiring, wireless transmitters, and why we have them. Our value proposition is this: that wiring saving, reducing wiring cost. And I say that's an oxymoronic statement. But what Schneider does is truly enable digitized information. It was not available before. And digitizing this information helps us to improve our operational efficiencies, productivity, just better asset management and use of asset management. It allows safer environments and more secure environments for working and regulatory compliance. Next slide, please. This is an overall view of our offering from, if you'll notice, from right to left. It is the range of our devices, and on the left-hand side of your screen, it's really what we believe the devices all have to have. They all have to be economical. They all have to be reliable. And one of the most important things that we see is ease of use. And if you look at the very bottom, sustainable. And we'll talk about why those are important, and of course, safe and secure. But why those ease of use and sustainability is really part in how it was built into our product. So from left to right, as you see, the short range is what we call our instrument area network, or IN, what I'll be talking to you today. That actually uses wireless HART on the top radio, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. We'll talk about how uniquely that is put together. In the middle, probably seen this product is the Accutech product line, what we call mid-range. It's up to about 1,000 meters, somewhere in that range. And then on the far right, you'll see remote monitoring, which is our Cineron product, and Datalogger. And both of those products use 4G LTE technology. As that goes in waves, whether we move to 5G or not, that is a question, but that is what we like to refer to that as our long-range solution. Next slide, please. This is what we see the plants of the future looking like. And if you'll notice toward the bottom on the right, there is field devices that are traditionally wired to PLCs, control systems, something that's their RTUs. And there will be instruments in the future that are hardwired. The ISA has a statement on where wireless and wired devices go and where they go in for control. So if you look at it for safety systems, that'll always be a wired device. When you look at that for critical control, that will always be a wired device. Technology will advance, and what things will happen as we look into the future, but there will always be wired devices. But then comes the rest of even process control that is not critical control. Maybe it's tank level monitoring, other process control is available for wireless. And as wireless technology gets more solid and the availability of that information is there, more and more devices will shift. I came back from Texas in the Permian Basin. A lot of conversation out there that what they believe the future looks like is more and more wireless control in the field. So with the product line that we show, again, we have the Y-Star, which is our Accutech product line, and long distance remote assets, maybe one or two places you're bringing in. Then you'll see the ultra long coming in through cellular LTE is through Datalogger that you could bring in assets that you have, bring them up to a cloud, integrate that into a cloud product. Like for instance, our SCADA solution, GeoSCADA would be one that you could bring that into and have that available information. And then today, what we'll talk about is the end product, more of a denser concentration of the product and development of devices that you could use inside a plant or outside a plant, bringing in that through wireless HART and Bluetooth technology. Next slide, please. So we talked about what the wireless proposition was and what makes wireless. This is what we say. It's wireless information network solutions. It's why us? Why not other people? Well, first of all, we're not just a wireless field device. We're much more than that. Yeah, we can measure pressure, temperature, and flow, but we provide much more information that helps you improve your business, not just monitoring process. We're also not limited to one technology. We have BLE or Bluetooth Low Energy for short range, 900 megahertz for long range, and 4 and 5G for the long range or mid to long range. So no other supplier in the market has the bandwidth that we have. And finally, truly, Schneider wants to be not just your automation partner, provider, but your IoT partner into the future. As we talked this week and different discussions are happening, the business and the IoT integration between OT and IT is happening faster and faster as we move. And so we believe that Schneider has positioned ourselves in a place to help you make that leap from OT or the combination of OT and IT. And if you would please, next slide. That's a little bit about who we are and what we are in the WINS or the Wireless Information Network Solutions for Schneider. And I'm not sure if this is the right slide deck because it says Datalogger here. I guess it is. So that's what we'll be talking about today is the Datalogger. So that's why the first one. So the Datalogger is our long-range solution that brings up products. And what it gives the ability to do is not only take those information off of assets, but also take that information into a cloud base. And as you can see here in the cloud, it brings it in multiple different ways. So what we have is our own cloud solution that you would access through a web base, but we also can integrate that into, as I said, SCADA solutions. It can either through REST API, DMP3, OPC UA, or again, just through REST API and bring it into your solution. So it's a complete autonomous integrated solution that goes from the field devices wired from there, any asset that you might want, and then bring that into a cloud-based solution. Next slide, please. All right. So if we take a look at this as a quick look, the component is a very small component. The size is there, as you can see, it's 5 inches by about 7 inches tall. It is a polycarbonate that will last in any environment. As you notice, the temperature minus 40 degrees C to 80 degrees C. So it's a complete offering and weatherproof. It's activated by a magnet, so it's very, very robust and it's suitable for outside environments. It's intended to just go outside and stay there. Next slide, please. This is an overview of the complete offering. As you see on your left-hand side, you will look at the Datalogger. That's what we call the Prime Premier. It has multiple inputs there. There's 3 wire inputs so that you can have up to 25 measurements. Then one in the center is the IS. Basically has the same amount of inputs or channels in. The difference is we isolated it for intrinsically safe. And then the one on the far right is a single input, so less input, single Ethernet cable, which would bring you less input. Next slide, please. So this is a overview of the difference between them. As I said, the analog inputs would be 4, for a Lite would be 2 and 3. You can read that yourself. Digital inputs. The real advantage of this device is if you're bringing Modbus, you can have up to 16 registries on a Modbus. So together, the maximum you would be able to have between analog, digital, and or serial would be up to 25 combined. There is also outputs, digital outs, so that you could actually do shut a valve and autonomously do that remotely. If a tank level hits, valve shuts, or open valve, whatever that may be. If you'll notice the SIM card, the 2 SIM cards on the IS and the Premium, the reason for that is a redundancy in SIM cards and also the two operating systems that are North America. Something else that differentiates the Lite from the Premium and the IS is the GPS. So it has its own onboard GPS, not just tracking it through the GSM. So we can find that. You notice the certifications, what were rated, and full egress. One of the largest opportunities here is a long battery life of 5 years. And in cloud or on premise solution. Now, what in cloud is our cloud that you access via a web page, or an on-premise solution that is actually to your own cloud virtually and then tied into your, either one of those solutions can tie in to your own SCADA system. Next slide, please. All right, so here's a breakdown of how the ports are and how it's aligned. So up to 4 analog, and those can be 4 to 20 or 0 to 24 volts, your choice. And the serial port you see here, that's RS45, Modbus RTU, SDI12. I'm not sure if you see a lot of that, but we do see that in the water market, and discrete. So up to 5 total discretes, 2 can be pulse counting, and then you can actually use outputs at the same time. So you can mix and match those to do whatever you might want to, is almost like a little control in the field. Next slide, please. The Lite, as you noticed, only has 1 port, and it's limited up to only 4 sensors maximum. But if you want to use and take advantage of the most power that it has, it would be through the Modbus and up to 16 registers. Outside that, it's about the same components, unless lacking the GPS. Next slide, please. Intrinsically safe, we had to reduce the amount of channels that are available, and that's truly just to isolate them so we could meet intrinsically safe requirements. The serial port is the same to interface with Modbus, but the discrete, again, you notice that there's down to 3, so it is less, but it still has that options for what you have. Next slide, please. Okay, now this is really, that was the mechanical side, if you would, I guess the side where I live, but the mechanical side of the device. Now let me show you what differentiates us from the rest of the market and what we can do. So truly unique is that the devices or assets are locked assets there at one end. You bring it into the data logger, and then up through a private cloud into a server, we have the information. It's available to you. There's a charge, depends on how much time you want, how many updates really per day you want it updated, but that is available either through a browser or through REST API into your own operation. So again, through a SCADA, however you'd want to do that, bringing it into you. So you could have to a mixed world from our private cloud to your own private cloud, but you can also use this as access people through a browser. We'll show you that at the end, or drop down into your own application. Next page, please. So this is a quick kind of overview of what you see in the interface. There is a web sign-on page, and you would see that with a logon password information, so it's protected. Users are limited. We can give access, or you can give access to what users you would want. So if you have some financial stuff that that only financials would see, or you could use it to operation would see one, and maybe maintenance would see another asset. You would see it from the GPS global where it's positioned, so you know exactly where that asset is put, where you're looking at that, dial into that specific field, and then drive in further into the information that's available. Individual, whatever you're measuring, whether it's a mag meter to a pressure transmitter, whatever that is, you would be able to click on it, go into that single device, not only configure that device, but also get information. One of the really great things is the reports that come out. You can get trends and graphs. They come out in a CSV file that can be converted to Excel and printed any way you want. There's also alarms that I have here. There's SMS alarms that you would be a text on a high-level alarm. You can set your alarms to change. So your normal update rate would be every 4 hours that you're getting a message out, but all of a sudden you hit a threshold. Maybe it's a dike that the levels are coming, or rain levels are falling, and that it could be necessary to open something, that you would then go to every hour and then down to every 10 minutes getting an alarm and a text that tells you that it happened. Next page. So as I was talking about the alarm and the interface, and so in the normal transmission rate, you would see this. But as these devices happen, you can set event alarms that would change down to an emergency of every 10 minutes. Your channels are defined in passive, they're active, they're set there so that you can do it. You can actually power your devices via the internal power, but that will use battery or externally. So it gives you that option to make that. You can set your thresholds for wherever you want them to be done, and also the transmission. So they can measure one threshold, transmit at another. Here, if you see at the bottom, I'd invite everybody to log onto this site and use those credentials that are here, and that'll give you full access into our data logger. And you can see you can actually see the screens. We call it a sandbox. It's the island of Fiji. So if you ever wanted to go there, you can see it on this screen and go into it. So if you would share those credentials when everybody can have, go right in there and you can see exactly how you can configure it. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is the on-premise solution that I talked about. This is cloud and on-premise. So this digs in a little further into the features that we have. So next slide, please. So as you can see on the left are, again, the mechanical features, whatever that be, environmental, oil, wherever that is, a mining asset's locked into the cloud solution, and then how do you give it out? As you can see, is locked up in a cloud, secure, safe solution. You have SMS messages, a web. It depends on how you want to receive this message and alarm-based. Next slide. Okay, so this is our first option, what we call Datahub Pro. This gives you the ability to utilize our hub, to set it up on our hub, but also the ability to download to your application, whatever that SCADA application may be, and again, also access via web. So it gives you the best of both worlds. You have our cloud, our software GUI. It makes it friendly. The interface is very friendly, and it's still utilizing our cloud. The difference would be on the next solution, your own cloud. You would still have that ability to have um, our software, our interfaces, our ability to do this, our creativeness and slide, but on your own cloud. The real difference is where do you want the cloud? Do you want it in ours, or do you want it on your own? There is a charge per data for annual use on our cloud, but then you have to offset against what it costs to support or maintain your own cloud. Next slide, please. As I said, it's really the same function, the same hospitality or look and feel. The difference is the barrier is changed, and now this is all on your own cloud, your own virtual network, wherever that would be, via cellular into your network. And then we would provide software that would give you that, again, look and feel, ease of use that makes it friendly. And then accessible again, either to your application from a SCADA or wherever you want, through REST API or one of the others, or through a web browser. So remotely can be done or in your premise. Next, please. Okay, so this is at what we call our Lite solution. It's one that if you're a really sophisticated client, sophisticated engineering group, we really give you a very light. It's just a raw data sensor. It's not manipulated in any form, and then you can do all the rest yourself. It is the least amount of software available. We give you access to configuration for 90 days, and then it's completely off our cloud. So what I haven't seen any customers utilize this, we do have it available if you'd like. It is the least in cost, but the least in functionality. We see most clients actually use the data remote. It gives them the ability to put it for their own reason on their own cloud, but also gives us that software interface that gives the GUIs that they would like. Next, please. Okay, so it's kind of a high level. Again, what offerings, where they stand, what is included in it, is it cloud architecture, is it on-premise only, and what's there. And you can just see from right to left, or from left to right, where they stand. The Datahub Lite is at the furthest, without the really a benefit of upgrades. It's just not there in what is there. So what we have here is REST API, and it's not available all the way across. except for the Lite. Firmware upgrade not available. It is an option. It's included in your Datahub Pro, which means we would give you all the firmware upgrades. We would give you all the software upgrades. You have to make that choice over here on the Datahub Remote, and that would not be available at all on your Datahub Lite. Outside that, the mechanical function and feature are the same. Truly choose which piece you like and where you like to go with that. Next slide, please. Okay, so here is the login to that access where I said the hub remote that you can look at. See this, take a look at what you see. Really gives you the ability to have the access to this information in just a private way. Our information is secure. We meet all the levels of cybersecurity that are out there today. We have met the Schneider S2, I think it's SI2, seal level or security level, SL2 level. So we meet all those levels of an environmental impact that we need for security. Next, please. Okay. Well, I think I'm on track for time. And if you have any questions, please open up. We'll take questions and walk through this.
Yeah, you guys can put your questions either in the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask a question if you like.
Okay, we're looking at this system and we want to know about some alarming directly out of the web server. So how would we set that up?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and like could they just be emailed out to a group or whatever?
Yeah, it can be either email or SMS, either way. So your choice, and it would be how many people you put into that. That's all on the page of the website page that you would see, and that is selectable there. What I highly recommend is go to that web page that we gave you access. There's a help file. You can go down to that help file, and it explains exactly how you would do each one of those functionality. Let me, what I'm going to do is take and cut and paste that and put it into the chat so that you can actually download that. Just grab that over off my file here, and then we'll do it that way. Does that give you what you needed to know?
Yeah, I was just hoping that there'd be more of a show of how some of these functions were working and some of the displays available.
Okay. So as you can see here, each little step of the way, you can click over here on devices on the left-hand side. You can see reports. Click on reports. We can go through reports. And this would be the reports you would form. You would take and move information, the date, the time you want information made. And then as you collect a time allotted to that, you would just hit Excel export to CSV, and it would export that to a CSV file, and then you could take it, go to visualization, and then just click on something gas, and then click on that, and they're set up, and this will give you, go into one of the files, and you can just see the information that's available on there, where it's at, what information's there. Go to events. Click, oh, you can see it there. Click on events.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, it should open up and tell you what it's there and what happened. Now go to devices, and we'll go into the little devices a little bit more. So then click on the device, gives you the screen. Go down one and click on the next. And it will give you the information that's available to that and how you can set your device up with your alarm functions. And it's just a matter of going into them, setting up what you want. As you'll notice, it has access and who has access into those, and then giving you that information to access that. If you want detailed step-by-step walk through this, we could arrange that. It just takes a lot more time to do that. One thing I would like to show you is go to the help file. If you see it at the very bottom, go to the very bottom. Yep, open that up. And if you would look into you can just click on any of the things over here on the side, and it will tell you, you can say what you want and then go into that, and it'll give you detailed information on how to do that. How do you access management? What would you do with that? What would that look like? And it gets into very, very much detail on what you want to do. Okay. Anything else that you would like?
Yeah, is there a function for auto reporting? So basically, it would just create a report every week, say every Monday morning, send it out. Is that a possibility?
That you're going to have to. It's not done that way. I'm that one. I do not know. I do believe that we create that, download it, and send it to you. But you're going to have to go to. No, so let me back that up. You're going to have to go into the file and download it yourself and create that report. You could get a message off of that, but not a downloaded report. It will not automatically send it to you. So there would be a report that is generated. That is a report that can be generated out of that. That's one trend line. Any other questions?
Yeah, so the configuration and threshold tab there, that's what would be auto-generated alarms?
Yes. Once you set your thresholds, then you'll have those automated. Whatever you want to. If you want to go back to that page, you can see that report and where that's at.
And that's for absolutely anything in there, battery.
It does have battery. It has that battery life and strength, cellular strength. You can see the ones that are set up on the side already. Then you could just chart whatever you want out of those things.
Perfect.
So there's base templates that are already set up that you could go into, look at those base templates, and they would give you the information that you need. So if the ones you would see, I mean, like battery life at 72% humidity, what position is at, what is the level of the tank, if you're looking at tank level, whatever you happen to be looking at, you would see all that available to you. And then it can be graphically done so that you see it and however range you want it. Is it a week, 2 days, whatever that is, and then get that information available to you. So if you just start clicking through these things, it gives you the ability to look into them. So at the device level, and here's an account level that would give you in the users that you have, who has the users, what their name is, and what ability they have to get into what. So you can protect wherever you need operations, and then what areas, what template you're using, the account's preferences. So this account hasn't been set up, and the accounts that are shared. So you'd have all that information. Users groups, whatever you would need. The API is the REST APIs that are available out, that information that is there. Reporting, again, whatever you wish in a timeline. So if I put that there and create a report, it would actually just create an Excel and export that data if there's data in that. Who knows if I've made enough time to export it. It's actually not going to go to my file, so I'm not going to be able to see it, but it would be exported into that, and then through each device you would want to look at each, and if there's a failure, what's happened here? So there was no results found. You would look at each thing, the GPS, where it's at. And again, you have your GPS location, flow rates. There's your alarm function. So what this says that we're transmitting every hour. So you're going to have that information up onto the date every 12 hours, excuse me. In a case of an event, then you would transmit every 30 minutes, and an emergency, change that to whatever you want. And at those events, you would get, or whatever thresholds you set, you could get those emails or SMS messages sent to you. So there's a report that would be sent. There's a log of the information. There's nothing found in that. So, and then what?
All right. And how much storage do we have on the web, and how long do you keep it there in the cloud? Is it just there for eternity?
Basically, as long as you are a subscriber, it's kept there for eternity. And as far as the device holds, it holds enough to hold it until it can send it to the cloud. Then it's first in, first out, first in, last out, or first in, first out, and then continues to go to the cloud for storage.
Okay, and if we have,
go ahead.
So on the device, if we were taking one analog signal every 10 minutes for, like, how long would the storage be, first in, first out, before it had to communicate?
Well, I mean, it has more than enough storage to do 24 hours before you could, if you're not going to communicate it, if you're not updating. Most people do it once or twice a day. And there is additional onboard storage that you can go to. It is flash memory. There's one file that actually has the amount of 200 and how many events that it's measuring. So what are you thinking, that you take it every 10 minutes for a day and then send it up once a day?
No, I would probably send it up a few times a day. I was just wondering if it lost communication for a duration of time.
It would still. It's more than enough to store from that. It's
all right,
based on. Go ahead.
Okay, and then the alarming in the web server itself, if it doesn't communicate, say, in 48 hours, is there an alarm out of the web server that it has not communicated? Or is it only the device that generates the alarms?
So the device that generates the alarms, it's different. Well, what happens if the information is sent up to the web server, and then the web server would do the alarming to you? So if it's not, go ahead.
So if the web server hasn't talked to it in a duration of time, it can generate an alarm by itself?
Yeah, correct. Yes. The alarm does come from the cell, from the web, the cloud, and would tell you it's not communicated, there's some problem. Whatever you choose to set that up, if that's an alarm threshold, you could get notified on. So if you go into and look at the specific data on what it needs, and this will tell you exactly how to set that alarm up. So the information is in here. Any other questions?
I think that's it. Yeah, no more questions. Anybody?
Hey, Mark, can you send out the presentation with all the links so that they can log on themselves and take a look at that?
Yeah, we could send that after. And I noticed at the start there's other pieces in the wireless portfolio. We're going to be doing another webinar on the Ian products as well. So that will be later. We're short on time, so we can't really get that done today. But we'll add another webinar to cover that. And we do have webinars on other products like the Coriolis meter is the next one coming up. If you guys need the info for that, let me know. I'll put my email here in the chat. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Perfect. Well, thanks everybody for the time today. I appreciate it. And my email's in the chat there if you do have any other questions. But other than that, I'll let you get back to your day here. And thanks again.